son is racing.
Welcome, race fans, to another episode of Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. We have all your action for the Bank of America Roval 400 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Stages for this week's race are going to be at laps 25, lap 50, and then they will go the final 59 laps all the way to the finish.
This is the first time they'll be running at the Roval at Charlotte. No better time than to do it now when they're in the playoffs, that's on the line. The drivers and the teams haven't been working that hard all year to make the playoffs anyways. Oh, it's the championship too, by the way, at Fantasy NASCAR this weekend. So good luck to all you guys out there, because you're definitely going to need some luck this weekend.
During practices, we've seen several cars completely totaled, including Bubba Wallace. We'll talk more about him in a while. But guys, they've totaled so many cars, they've had to move back the tire barrier to try to keep cars clean. Cars were spinning out like crazy. It seems like, unlike the Xfinity Series, that these Cup cars have too much power and can get up to too much speed, which is causing a lot more problems than what we saw in the Xfinity Series. But with that said, there's a slight weather chance of rain in the early morning, but the afternoon looks clear, so I have no idea why NASCAR moved up the start time, which is now 1 p.m. Eastern on NBC, the main network this week. Just like every week, we start off talking about the big three. Let's start off, we're going to do this in order of where they qualified. We're going to start off with Truex starting 13th at 11,100. Look, anytime Truex starts outside the top 10, it's a car that you have to look at. I think it's a really good play this week at 11,100. The problem that you're going to find with playing these guys is their salary. All three of these guys qualified very poorly for the style of drivers they are. The next guy is Kyle Busch, starting 14th at 11,400. I really like this play as well. Rowdy has done awesome things in road course racing, and his first time at the Roval, he was fastest in practice one. I like Rowdy Busch this week. Liehr, let's talk about those two before we get to the next guy in Harvick.
Yeah, brother. By the way, good to be back with you this week. Had a fantastic time at Billy Joel last Friday at the K. Definitely missed you. It was one for the ages, and happy that I was able to go. But had a fantastic weekend too, fantasy wise, between NASCAR and football. It was a great weekend overall. But that's why I'm definitely wearing the Truex hat this weekend, man. I mean, in my opinion, Truex is going to be a must-own guy for you. He's definitely a guy that has some really good, road course success. He's won 2 races on road courses here in the last couple of years, and a guy that seems to figure it out pretty good this weekend. And you can definitely tell that by his his second practice when he was third fastest, and then final practice, when he was fifth fastest. So definitely a team's got some speed. They got a sweet paint scheme for auto owners and Sherry Strong this weekend. Mm-hmm. So they've got that going for them. And I just think they're really going to have a strong finish this weekend. And I look for them to make a splash in the playoffs this weekend at the Roval and get it done this weekend. He's definitely going to be a guy that I'm going to have a lot of ownership on the amount of lineups I'll be playing this weekend, which will be very few and far between.
I want to interrupt you for a second because it was really cool that you tweeted out to Martin Truex Jr. and Sherry, and she tweeted back to you, and then the guy that followed up was like, could we please get both of you to autograph that car since it's for your foundation? Like, I think it would be really sweet if we could get both her and Truex's autograph on that diecast. That would be an awesome diecast to have. I think you're absolutely right. Sweet ride, great paint scheme, great cause. I just had to drop that in. Go ahead and continue, buddy.
Yeah, brother. And to top it all off, I wish, I'm happy that she responded to me, but she didn't. She kind of not answered the question. I asked if they could sign it in like pink or teal to basically signify cancer instead of like the regular black or, the silver marker. So, no, it would be cool if they could do it in teal and both of them could sign it. That would just
I think that'd be awesome if both of them signed it in the teal. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But as far as Kyle Busch is concerned, I'm not really on the Kyle Busch portion of the train this weekend. As far as his career, he's got 28 road courses under his belt. He does have 4 wins, but I don't know, man. That team is, they've done okay, and I don't know. I don't have that much confidence this weekend in him going into the Roval. I mean, as far as his starting position, I mean, you got to like him. I mean, anytime he's outside the top 14. The problem with him is just a salary deal. So for me, I'm putting all my eggs into the Truex basket, and another driver I'll be talking about later. But I'd rather have those guys than ride on the Rowdy train this weekend.
All right, the third of the big 3 is Kevin Harvick, but we haven't got to roll that R for a while, and he's starting 19th, which I think is incredibly sexy and a play that you're going to want to make, even though he's 11,700. I love this play this week. I think it's one of the right plays. I like all of the big 3 with their starting position. Liehr absolutely hates this play this week and wants to send Harvick to the garage. So you know what? I'm going to let him speak his piece, and we're going to move the going to the garage segment to right now. So we're going to let Liehr send his going to the garage pick, and then I'll give you mine. So go ahead, Liehr. Send Harvick to the garage, even though I completely disagree with you.
Well, I'm still battling a cold over here, but yeah, I don't know, man. I am not feeling it from the number 14 this weekend at all. For him to go out and qualify 19th, and then on top of that too, I mean, his practices today were absolutely putrid. I mean, 33rd fastest in second practice, and then all the way down, he was 27th fastest in the final practice. I mean, that's just horrible. And to hear him talk about how they're going to run at the Roval and basically stating that it's just one of those kind of courses that he's not really comfortable in driving in. None of them should be comfortable driving because none of them are used to it. And so I can't have any exposure on a guy that has absolutely no confidence in his team and go out and perform the way that team has performed so far this weekend between practice 1, qualifying, and the 2 practices today, to spend $11,700 on him when I can spend that money somewhere else. And I know that we're going to talk about it a little bit, that, it's kind of like throwing a dart at a dartboard because none of these guys have raced here. And to be 100% honest with you, I mean, there could be a ton of wrecks tomorrow and it just could be carnage, and you don't know who's going to come through. So, again, it's just a guy that, unfortunately, based off of, we do a lot of picks on this show based off of history and then based off of their weekend performance. And we don't have any history, so I got to go to the weekend performance, and it's just been absolutely putrid for this number 14. So I am avoiding him like the plague this weekend.
Fair enough. I'm just arguing that I trust Harvick. I think their strategy may be what we saw in some of the Xfinity cars today, which is to drop back early at the race, let the carnage stuff happen in front of them where they can avoid it. That might be what we see out of Harvick. So the first couple of stages, even, you may not see him anywhere near the front, but I wouldn't worry about that. I think he's going to get it figured out. He is one of the top 3 drivers on the circuit for a reason, and I think over the course of the race he'll figure it out. Now, I could be wrong. And
I get that perspective for sure, but let's just think about it this way, okay? You've got 25 laps on the first one, 25 laps on the second stage, and then you have the rest of the laps. I think, what is it?
57, I think.
59?
57, 59, something like that.
Okay.
59.
So when you get spread out on a road course, we know how hard it is to make that up in positions. The only way that he's ever going to make anything up in positions is whether there's a crash and they take strategy on, staying out or pitting early and then, letting something else happen. There has to be crazy strategy in play there. And then for them to kind of fall back, I don't see that happening. And I think they're going to try to fight every single step of the way to try to get up there to the front. But I just don't think they had, one, that they have the speed, and 2, I just don't think Harvick has the confidence and the ability to get it done this weekend and to pay off his salary. I mean, my top ceiling for Harvick and the boys in the number 4 is probably like a 15th place finish. And
yeah,
I'm sorry, but that just doesn't do it.
I'm sorry. If you're giving one of the best drivers on the circuit a ceiling of 15, you're smoking crack. I love you to death, brother, but that is just nonsense. Like,
well, I don't smoke crack, but I'll definitely
even the
take
cars
that with you tomorrow.
Well, even cars that weren't as good comparatively that did that strategy in the Xfinity series today were finishing top 15, right? They were still able to get back up there and still able to do it after dropping back, and there wasn't as much carnage as predicted. So I think the 15 is a really easy benchmark. But whatever, you're going to have to make up your own mind on that, guys. Clearly, Liehr and I are in different camps on that. Someone that I don't think we're in different camps about is my going to the garage pick, and I'm sending Bubba Wallace to the garage. He might be tempting starting 34th. I get it. He might be tempting at his price tag, which is $5,400. But Bubba is a dumpster fire on wheels when he has to turn left and right and brake. We've seen this all throughout the season. He spun out so many times during practice, I lost track of counting. Then he decided in final practice to drive through the tire barrier and completely destroy his car. I don't want any piece of Bubba Wallace this week. I don't care if he's cheap. I don't care if he's got a great starting position. We faded him earlier in the year starting in the back of the field on a road course because I said he was hot, wet garbage, and it paid off to fade him. I think that's the same case this week. Your thoughts, Liehr?
Dude, there's not much to add to that point or perspective because, yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, this guy, I don't know what it is with him this season. At first he was kind of the hot play starting the season off and having that great finish at Daytona, and then it just kind of slid down from there, and he really hasn't recovered himself all season long. And it's still like he's trying to learn, each and every week going to these different tracks, and yet still just doesn't have the performance, even though he's got like sweet starting positions in the late 20s and early 30s. He just can't seem to get out of a rut and get in like a top 20 finish. And I can't go there, and I won't go there because, I mean, clearly the guy is not comfortable driving his car, and he's going to be in a backup now, going to the back of the field. No thanks.
Just the stone cold easiest fade of the week, in my opinion. And
Yes.
That includes cars that I normally would never play. Like, I would play them all over Bubba Wallace this week. All right, Liehr, we got through the going to the garage segment because of you having a hankering for hating on Kevin Harvick this week. So go ahead and do the honors, get us started, and let's get into our burning rubber picks.
Burning rubber rover style, baby!
Did you just call it a Rover style instead of Roval style?
Yeah, you want me to do it over?
No, I think that's hilarious. I like the fact that you said it wrong. We're gonna stick with it. All right, Liehr, who's your pick to burn some rubber this week, buddy?
Yeah, I'm calling it the rover style because I'm not a fan of this race. So I'm going to be going with Keselowski and the boys in the number 2 team. They're just on a hot streak, going into this race and look to keep that momentum going this weekend at Charlotte. Kez has been looking pretty fast today as well in the number 2 Penske car. He's going to be starting tomorrow's race from the 25th position, which is a sweet starting spot for that team. And he was 4th fastest in the second practice and 1st fastest in happy hour practice in the final practice. His cost this week is $9,800. So he's obviously a great place differential guy with, obviously a potentially fast car. And he has the potential to have fantastic opportunity to lead some laps, gain the fastest laps, and then also win the race, in my opinion. In 18 starts at road courses, Kez does have 0 wins, but he does have 5 top 5s and 7 top 10s. And I just look for this team to break that streak this weekend and continue that hot hand that they've had so far going into the 2018 playoffs and see it unfold. So right now, Kez is the number 4 in the Big 4, or we always say Big 3. But I think right now you can add Kez to that as that 4th guy, and I think he's just going to keep taking it this weekend. I mean, he's shown it too. I know that he didn't go out and have a very good qualifying run, but as the weekend has progressed into today, that team has made changes, and those changes have obviously shown through their practice times. So I'm definitely going to be rolling a lot of Kez, especially when you can get him under 10K.
I completely agree. I love the Kez play. You got to follow a heater, and the guy is on a crazy heater. of epic proportions for NASCAR. I love what that car is doing, and I love the in-race adjustments that team is making to get that car up front. And since I completely agree with this pick, and since you stole this pick from me, I mean, just straight thieved it from me, I'm gonna go with a list of drivers for my burning rubber. And the reason why I'm doing this, well, dude, look, you tell me from these starting positions, and with it being the crapshoot of the Roval, that any of these guys aren't going to be on the winning lineup. Like, as long as they stay clear, several of these drivers should possibly be on the winning lineup, right? And we start with Logano starting 15th at 8,800. Amarola at 8,300 starting 20th. Suarez starting 17th at 8,100. Menard starting 22nd at 7,500. I also like Newman, who's cheaper than that. I also like Billy Byron. And I have no problem with Austin Dillon either. All of these guys are starting in positions where if the carnage happens right, they're easily top 15, top 10 cars. I don't know what to make out of this race other than saying it's a complete crapshoot and you're going to have to throw darts because there's going to be carnage. These cars have way too much power, way more power than what we saw in the Xfinity Series. And because of that extra power, we saw the Cup cars having many more problems on the track during the practices than we did Xfinity. So I think we're going to see a multitude of wrecks this week, and I don't know who to tell you to play because these are all good cars and guys that should do well with great place differential, and there's not enough laps for it to matter for fastest laps and laps led. Like, that's just not going to be a factor this week. So it's all going to boil down to place differential for the most part, and I see a bunch of these guys that are really interesting plays. And I haven't even mentioned the one guy that I don't want to play, which is Hamlin, who has an amazing starting position as well. But do you want to deal with the ham bone after he's burned people week in and week out? Liehr, your thoughts on my slew of drivers that I listed off?
I mean, where do I begin?
Right.
I mean, let's just start at the end there. Hamlin, 27th. I mean, to most weeks, if we had Hamlin starting from the 27th position, it'd be a no doubt or no brainer.
Right.
And I like him this week. I mean,
but he's had problems getting around the track.
Yeah, and he has. And the other problem too is trying to squeeze him in with those other guys, and he's $9,200. It's just getting to a point where you can't fit them all in. So, you got to make your stance. And I probably won't have any exposure on Hamlin just for the pure fact that I like other guys in other places, and I like salary relief as well. But I definitely am right there with you on the Almirola play, starting from the 20th position. Even though he wasn't showing major speed in final practice, he is a guy that definitely, has the opportunity to get up there and he's obviously did better in practices than his teammate as far as Kevin Harvick is concerned. Mm-hmm. Taking another stab there while I can.
Hey, man, strike while the iron's hot, buddy. You got to do it.
Right? This is about the only race I'll be able to do that. And then Austin Dillon, another guy that, the guy was practicing in the teens. So, it's somebody that I think that has a great opportunity to be a major place differential play for you this weekend. And just one of those guys that with that salary point with him, it's just hard to not pass him up because he's $6,900 and under that $7,000 price point. It's a guy that you definitely got to roster. And I think this week my strategy is going to be definitely probably starting my lineups going Truex, Keselowski, and then, mixing in some other guys in there. You got to have at least somebody that's starting in the top 10. That's just for, place differential, with other guys. And then you got to have a guy that's going to be stability-wise at a decent salary that stays up there in the top 10. And to me, that person is AJ Allmendinger. We finally come to a road course where we finally didn't get him to where his price point went all the way up to $9,400. Is probably because they're feeling sorry for him because he's not going to be back in his number 47 JTG Doherty ride next year. So, congrats to Ryan Preece on getting that ride. But definitely a guy that, any road course we go to, it doesn't matter if we haven't been there or not. This guy, he's the road course ringer. The Dinger is the road course ringer. So, you He's always up there, but he doesn't sometimes seem to get it done. But I think you're going to see some extra fire underneath the dinger this weekend because he's going to want to prove that he's still got something behind the wheel, and he needs to get a ride for 2019. So the guy at $7,700, and I don't know if he's going to have a ton of exposure from starting from that second position, but I'm going to own him. I'll tell you that much.
As you can see, there's a lot of guys in the 8 range and the upper 7s that we're wanting to play this week. Not to mention the studs like Truex or Rowdy. So we need to save some money. Liehr, who's the guy you're looking at to save money this week? I think all these value guys are in play if you want to guess and bank on the carnage, but I think there's a couple of value guys that are a little bit better than others. Liehr, who's your pick?
Well, brother, I'm going to kind of be going with a little bit of a different strategy just based off of, where we have some of these big boys starting from. So I'm getting most of my place differential from the big boys, and you got to have some salary relief somewhere to stick some of these big boys in there. So I'm actually going to be going with a guy that got some good news this weekend. But I'm going to be going with a guy that's the newest sensation to be hitting the track for 2019 in the Monster Energy Cup Series, and going to be going with Daniel Hemrick. Hemrick's going to be driving in Ryan Newman's old spot at RCR for 2019. Now, whether we don't know if it's in the number 31 or the number 8, because Richard Childress has talked about possibly bringing the number 8 back just because Hemrick is also from Kannapolis, North Carolina, just like Dale Earnhardt Jr. I think it would be cool to have the number 8 back full-time in the series. But Hendrick's going to be riding this weekend, obviously, with a great deal of confidence. He's got an extra exposure on the track this weekend by racing in his normal Xfinity ride today in the number 21 for RCR. He starts from the 11th position tomorrow, and his cost is dirt cheap at $5,600. But I look for him to get at least a top 15. And for a guy that costs $5,600, I don't see many other options in that price range that can get the points regardless of, even if he loses a few spots. What if he finishes with the top 10? It really could happen, folks. So be prepared. This kid could get a top 10 finish tomorrow in the Cup race. So he was second fastest in second practice and 22nd fastest in final practice. So a little, questionable there at the second practice, but we all know that practices don't always, predict what's going to happen in the race. Just look at Kyle Larson a few weeks back when he completely dominated and wasn't having the fastest, laps and 10-lap averages. But that's the thing for this course is we don't have a ton of 10-lap averages to go off of. So, but I look for him to basically finish where he starts tomorrow, which is going to work great for the drivers that needs, for points and salary relief. He's got those 2 combos for him. So he's going to get the points based off the position. I don't think he's going to get very many place differential. So don't look for him to get that. He may get a couple fastest laps here and there, but nothing crazy. But at a $5,600 price point, I'm going to choose the guy that has the opportunity or the chance to at least get a possible top 10. So little different strategy for me this weekend there.
Right. So it sounds to me like you're using Hemrick and guys like Allmendinger to save money and hoping that they're going to hold at the 3rd and the 10th place spot, right? Hold around there so you can make up the difference while your main guys are getting your place differential. Is that a fair estimation? Yeah. Fair enough. I don't know that you need to do that this week. I don't think you need to take those risks. I think there are some value plays, and if the carnage that we predict is going to happen, those guys holding position are going to get outpointed. One of the guys that I think could outpoint this week that I'm focusing on is Justin Marks at value for $6K. First of all, he's overpriced for a guy that doesn't run a lot, but he's technically underpriced for what this car does and what he does when he's given a chance to race on the main circuit and what he can do on road course races. When he's starting 31st this week, and that makes this a sexy value play, his equipment isn't even near what he had today where he finished 2nd, but if he can avoid the carnage, this can be a boon for points because as we've seen with his road course racing, it is not uncommon for him to take a car that starts in the 30s, in the low 30s, and finish in the teens, in the mid-teens with it. That's traditionally what Justin Marks does. He likes to keep a clean car, which is something he did in the Xfinity Series and better equipment. But I think he can keep a clean car. If he can do that at $6K, he's going to be a super low-owned play. People should not be on him because of that price point. I think it'll discourage. If I'm wrong, he'll be over-owned because of what he did today. But I think that price point is going to drive people away from somebody that nobody really knows as a driver on the circuit. Liehr, your thoughts on Justin Marks?
Yeah, brother, I really like the pick, actually. I definitely like Justin Marks. He's really good at road courses. Mm-hmm. As you can see today, what he did in the Xfinity Series, but also, when what was it, like a month ago when the Cup boys were off and the Xfinity guys were the main stage up at the road course. I think it's up in Wisconsin. And, he was also another guy that was basically a favorite there, and he did do well there. So until towards the end of the race where I think he got taken out. But anytime there's a road course, Justin Marks is always a guy that you're going to look out for. And the only thing with him is, he has a great starting position. It's just the equipment. I don't know if he's going to be necessarily up to par when it comes to the equipment. But, there is going to be some carnage here. You just got to kind of hope that he's one of those guys that avoids it. But as you can tell today, and this is really the only way that we had the ability to, kind of get an idea of what's going to happen tomorrow. But you could tell, when they're doing the starts, you got all these guys jumbled up, people spinning out in the first parts of the turns. So it's going to be interesting tomorrow. And, it depends on, how spread out that they get, because, once they get spread out, it's going to be hard to make up places. As far as that is concerned, it's going to be all about strategy. So, but I'm right there with you. I think a lot of people will overlook the Justin Marks play. And, they'd probably rather have like a Ty Dillon or David Reagan. Myself personally, like I said, I love the Hemrick play. So I think that'll be even lower owned because of the starting position.
Oh, yeah.
But those guys in that same range there, it's going to be tough goings, but I definitely like the Justin Marks play as some salary relief too.
No, and I like what your strategy is with the Hemrick play. The problem with that I'm saying is if Hemrick pulls off one of his 31st to 15th plays, he's going to outpoint Hemrick going 10-10. Like, that's just going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
but I think a lot has to take place.
Oh, for sure.
For that to happen.
Oh, for sure. I agree with that. But like I said, we don't know what's going to happen here, so it's pretty much a crapshoot. All right, I want to congratulate Jamie Liehr. Like, he busted his butt today and got all of the league stuff caught up. It is all available, updated with the current standings list that I put together for us after he got me those points. All of that's available at fantasydonks.com. And Liehr, give us last week's winner, and let's say our goodbyes and get out of here.
Well, real quick, I do want to give a shout out because, Poppa did an awesome job last week doing the show solo. But unfortunately, he did forget to mention the league results last week. So I hate to have somebody get first place and not get a shout out. So definitely going to give a shout out to Wissenerks 0042 on his 353.75 back at the South Point Las Vegas Speedway race. Awesome job for you, man. I know that you have interacted with us for years and, haven't had a win yet all season. So congratulations to you, sir, on that win. Yeah. Because it's one of those that I love seeing guys that interact with us and on a consistent basis and actually have some success. So congratulations to you. And then going back to last week at the Federated Auto Parts 400 at Richmond, where I got third place. Damn it. Almost got there. But congratulations to Scooter 8174 with also kind of ironic 2 weeks in a row it was 353. So this one is 353.5. And he had Clint Boyer, who had a 57.5. Kyle Busch, who got the win last week at Richmond with a 96.5 starting from the rear of the field. William Byron got with a 28. Austin Dillon with a 60 with a 20 point differential there. Chase Elliott with a 72. And David Reagan with a 39.5. So congratulations to you, Scooter 8174.
Nice work. And guys, we want to thank you as always, especially with football season coming on. And I know it makes it hard. Liehr and I are fantasy football players as well. Makes it hard to get our NASCAR work in, but we appreciate you guys still staying with us and watching the show. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Thanks always. Liehr, go ahead and say your goodbyes and get us out of here.
Well, I would love to say, first and foremost, thank you guys for watching the show. But two, also good luck to all of those for real. For those that are playing in the NASCAR Fantasy Championship tomorrow. I do not envy you. I'm glad that I wish I would have made it just on principle only, on saying I got a seat, but I do not envy your position being live at the Roval and having to watch this thing play out live when you have no clue basically who to roll with. It's such a crapshoot and a luck spot. And it's also kind of sad too at the same time that we put so much time and effort in doing this all year round, and DraftKings makes us have our championship for $50,000 on the line come down to a luck box. And it's not more about people that are strategically good and that could come up with a winning lineup that way. So, but good luck to all you guys out there, and definitely like, comment, and share the show. I know with football it gets a little put on the back burner, but we always appreciate the love, and good luck tomorrow in the race. I'm definitely going to be watching both of them flipping back and forth, but Chiefs are off to a hot start, baby. Go Chiefs.
Yeah, and we get Chiefs on Monday Night Football this week, so in Denver. So we'll take it to them at Mile High and beat those Denver Donkeys.
Yeah.
Hopefully that didn't offend the Mullins too much. Like
that's what I was going to say. I hope Audie Ross is going to be in the stands. I hope that doesn't offend him too much either.
All right, guys, have a great week. Let's win some money. Good luck.
Good luck this weekend, everybody.